Okay, it is basically study of thermodynamic state variables. Okay, mainly we will study only two variables. Okay, that is your heat energy and temperature. Okay, so your temperature calculation is one part, and your second part that you are going to calculate is your heat energy. Okay, so whatever you do, you are going to calculate these two values in calorimetry. So we need to understand, okay, calorimetry in detail, but our IIT JEE portion is basically limited to temperature calculation and heat energy calculation. Okay, now if you look at the word calorie, okay, 1 calorie is basically, it is unit of energy. Okay, because when we look at calories, okay, many people while doing exercise they just say we are burning the calories. So if we are using the word burning the calories, indirectly we are utilizing some of our energy. So your calorie is unit of energy, but in physics we will study in terms of joules. So your 1 calorie is equal to 4.2 joules. Okay, this joules energy is SI unit. Okay, this joules energy is SI unit, and calorie is, okay, it is CGS unit. Okay, calorie is CGS unit and joules is SI unit. Now initially people, why we are defining two units means, initially people thought, okay, heat is different, okay, energy is different. Okay, this is what initially people thought. Okay, so for heat they have defined, energy in terms of calories initially. Okay, later people gave your energy in terms of joules. Okay, but both are related to each other, and their relation is given like this. Okay, now whatever energy you take, okay, whatever energy you take, that energy will basically be in three forms. Okay, that is your potential energy, your kinetic energy, and your mass energy. Okay, whatever energy you take, that will be in these three basic forms. Okay, so potential energy, kinetic energy, and mass energy. Now your heat energy belongs to vibrational kinetic energy of molecules. Okay, your heat energy is vibrational kinetic energy of molecules. So your heat energy is vibrational kinetic energy of molecules. Now if you have studied in thermal expansion in the introduction what is meant by heat and all, okay, that will if you look into that video you will get the clarity. Now at temperature greater than 0 Kelvin, okay, that is absolute scale. Okay, so there will be vibrational kinetic energy. Okay, there will be kinetic energy to the molecules. This kinetic energy is nothing but your temperature, okay, related term, and if there is temperature obviously there is heat energy. Okay, so this is your basic idea of calorimetry. Okay, now if you keep these things in mind, okay, so this is your basic introduction. Okay, so this is what you have now. Okay, keep this point in mind, and 1 calorie is 4.2 joules. Now next what is that I am going to do is, okay, I am going to, okay, explain, okay, why we are studying this calorimetry and all. Okay, so now how is that you know, okay, heat and energy are same. Okay, how heat and your mechanical energy are related to each other. Okay, this we need to understand first. Okay, so now how these two are related to each other. Okay, now how these two are related means, okay, through an experiment. Okay, obviously you will, in physics, for everything you will have an experiment, then we'll derive some logical explanation, then give some maths and justify it. So through experiment like this, okay, through an experiment, okay, what is the experiment, I'll explain now. Okay, so through experimentation, okay, what is that, how heat energy and mechanical energy are related to each other means, okay, to explain that, what is that you can do is, okay, if you take a system like this, okay, let us say you have a pulley, attached to this there is one more pulley like this, okay, and attached to this, let us say there is mass m, and attached to this there is a churning machine like this, where in which you have some okay, axial kind of thing, where in which when mass is going down, let us say it is rotating like this. Now, okay, if you look at this experiment, okay, if there is no heat energy loss, okay, if there is no heat energy loss, okay, if this drops down by h height, okay, now let us say it is pulley 1, let us say it is pulley P2, okay, now let us say there is, okay, a pulley kind of arrangement here, and let us say there are 3 pulleys like this. Now to this experiment, if I am doing energy conservation equation, okay, your energy conservation equation is your potential energy is lost, okay, your energy is lost when this is coming down, okay, so this energy loss is given by mgh, okay. Now this energy loss will be distributed to kinetic energy of this block, okay, this is for block, kinetic energy of block, plus for pulley you will have rotational kinetic energy, okay, so Ke of, okay, pulley P1 plus Ke of kinetic energy of pulley 2, okay, this kinetic energy is because of rotation, okay, that is half I omega square, actually if you write it, okay, this is half I2 omega square plus kinetic energy of this pulley P3, okay, that is half into I3 into omega square, okay, for this part your kinetic energy is half I3 omega square plus, okay, and next, okay, the last important point is, okay, and I mean yeah, we have written everything, okay, we have considered pulley 1's kinetic energy, pulley 2's kinetic energy and pulley 3's kinetic energy, okay. Now once this is done, okay, if energy conservation is valid, okay, then this equation is correct, okay. So here what is my point is, okay, this part is correct, okay, this part is correct, okay, if no energy loss is present in the system, okay, if there is no energy loss, okay, whatever potential energy lost, this part is your potential energy lost, so whatever potential energy that is there, this potential energy lost will be getting converted into its own kinetic energy of this block plus potential energies of, I mean kinetic energies of these 2 pulleys as well as this 3rd pulley, okay, and if there is any other equation, okay, whatever you have depending upon the system you can substitute, but in this case this equation is correct if there is no energy loss, okay. But when scientists have done the experiment, okay, in experiment, okay, in reality, okay, in reality, okay, what exactly has happened is, okay, there is energy loss. Okay, there is energy loss. Okay, how do you know that? When these two terms, left hand side and right hand side terms, are not equal, obviously you will know that there is some energy loss. Okay, that is one thing. Next, if you keep a thermometer within this system, okay, if you add a thermometer, this thermometer, what will it do is, it will measure the temperature difference. So experimentally it was found that, okay, an extra term is needed. Okay, it is not balanced. Okay, so this extra term is your exact heat energy. Okay, it was mass m into specific heat into delta theta. Okay, so this is not done by me. Okay, so as an example I am telling you, but this extra term is your heat energy. Now if this expression is coming like this, okay, you can measure the temperature difference, then this S part is specific heat and M is mass. We will see about it later, but this is your experimental observation. Now if that is the case, when you are adding this extra term that you have here, okay, this extra term that you have here, if it is balancing this equation, that means obviously whatever, okay, mechanical energy, which means that potential energy, kinetic energy that you have on left hand side and right hand side, both sides, that kinetic energy and this heat energy both are related to each other. Okay, so through this experiment, okay, this is an example. Okay, you can say that your heat energy is no way different from mechanical energy. Okay, now okay, this is your basic idea. Okay, how do you know that how heat and mechanical energy are related, means this is what you are going to do now. Okay, if this is the case, that means whatever work is being done, that work and, okay, that work that you are doing and this experiment, okay, energy, heat energy, both are related to each other. Okay, so once you know work, once you know energy, okay, you can obviously relate how much heat energy is required to do how much work we can relate it each other. Okay, so from this experiment we have related these two. Now, okay, we will discuss how heat is related to work. Okay, that means we are relating heat with work. Okay, so how can you do this? Okay, how can you relate heat with work? Now you can relate heat with work. Okay, you can relate heat with work with this expression, that is your work, whatever you are doing, is directly proportional to your heat energy. Okay, now remember here I am keeping a sign delta Q. Okay, it is change. Okay, so you can only calculate, okay, if you have two bodies, you can only calculate how much energy it is transferring from one body to another body, but you cannot calculate absolute heat energy. Whatever is inside you cannot calculate. You can only say how much this is transferring to this or how much this body is transferring to that body. Okay, so you can only calculate the difference. You cannot calculate absolute heat energy. Okay, so your work that you have, okay, your work that you have is directly proportional to heat energy. Okay, now okay, if you remove the proportionality constant, okay, if you remove the proportionality constant, your work is equal to J times delta Q, or people will write it as work done W is equal to J times H. Okay, this is the common definition that you see in the books. Okay, so this is your relation between work and this is your relation between heat. Okay, work and heat. Now what is this J means? Okay, your J is called mechanical equivalent of, okay, J is your mechanical equivalent. Okay, J is your mechanical equivalent. Okay, mechanical equivalent of heat. Now this J value is, okay, close to 4.186, but for calculational convenience sake we will take it as 4.2, okay. And if you look at the unit, for work unit is joules, for heat the unit is calorie. So your relation, I mean this J unit will be 4.2 joules per calorie, okay. This is what you are going to get, okay, when you are relating work with heat, okay. So with this basic idea, I hope you must know what is the relation between work and heat, okay, right. Now we'll continue further, okay. So those who want to take down, you can take it down. Okay, right. Now we need to see each term in detail, okay. So now we'll continue, we'll look into each term in detail, okay. So basic terms that I'll define, okay. Chapter, so far what I have discussed is introduction, okay. Now chapter flow, what I'll do, I'll tell you, okay. Now so far I have given introduction, okay. Now, okay, first part of the heading is knowing basic terms that you are going to use, okay. So if you know the basic terms that you are going to use, accordingly, okay, in the end we will be able to solve the problems. So what are the basic terms that I am going to use means, okay, first term that I am going to use is specific heat capacity represented by, okay, symbol S, okay. Next, after specific heat capacity, next term that you have is molar heat capacity represented by symbol C, okay. Then we will see relation between, okay, C and S, that is heat capacity and specific heat capacity, okay. Then followed by, okay, we will see water equivalent, okay, water equivalent. Then next we are going to see, okay, after water equivalent we are going to see latent heat of, okay, you are going to see latent heat of, okay, fusion and vaporization, okay. Now till here, okay, we will see the basic terms, okay. Wow, why do you all get to know all these terms means, okay, your principle of calorimetry is your ultimate target, okay. Your principle of calorimetry is what you are going to apply for every question in this chapter. So your principle of calorimetry is the ultimate thing, okay. So final required, okay, final required relation, okay, is your principle of calorimetry, okay. It is nothing but basically conservation of energy, okay. Now what is that I am going to do is I am going to define each and every term, okay, with explanation in detail, all this part first. Then once you get to know this, okay, using these terms we will try to calculate principle of calorimetry relation, okay, and then we will apply to mixtures, okay. Finally, after learning principle of calorimetry, we will apply them to mixtures, okay. You apply them to mixtures. So you mix some hot body and cold body and you are going to get what is the final temperature, all those relations is what you are going to get, okay. So this is my chapter outline, okay. So each term I will define in detail with units, everything, okay. And if you get stuck at something, I do want you to pause the video, go back to the clip, and then refer to the content once again. Okay, so we'll start with, okay, basic terms. Okay, so those who want to note it down, you can note it down. Okay, so we'll start with each term in detail. Okay, so first I'll start with specific heat capacity. Okay, so we will start with first term is your specific heat capacity. Okay, so the first term that we are going to see is specific heat capacity of, okay, specific heat capacity of material. Okay, why did I write this material? I will tell you. Okay, it's not substance, it is material. Okay, so why is that? I will tell you. Okay, now if you take specific heat capacity, okay, first you are supposed to understand, okay, if you take a substance, okay, if you take a substance, okay, for this substance, okay, if mass is m, okay, for this substance if mass is m, okay, now what is that I am going to do is I am going to give heat energy to this substance. If I give heat energy to this substance, what happens is this body will absorb heat. Now how this heat energy is related to type of material, temperature and the mass, okay, that relation based on experiment, okay, based on experimental result, I am going to write it here. Now once you get to know that, okay, then from heat energy definition we will come to specific heat capacity. Okay, your specific heat capacity of material is represented by symbol S. Okay, now your experimental observation is, okay, your heat energy delta Q, okay, your heat energy given to a body is directly proportional to mass, okay, when type of material comma delta theta, this is your temperature difference. Okay, in the books you will be seeing it as delta T, in some books it is delta theta. Okay, this is your temperature difference. Okay, this is your experimental observation. Okay, your heat energy is directly proportional to mass. Okay, I mean if you take a substance based on experiment, okay, you are taking some object, okay, to that object you are adding or you are giving heat energy. So if you are giving heat energy to this object, okay, if you give more amount of heat, I mean if you have more mass, it will obviously take more amount of heat energy. Okay, next, your heat energy delta Q is also directly proportional to temperature difference, okay, when type and mass are kept constant. Okay, when type of material and mass are kept constant, your heat energy is directly proportional to temperature difference. Okay, delta Q is directly proportional to delta theta. Okay, now, okay, your heat energy delta Q is, okay, removing this proportionality constant, you are going to write it as mass m into specific heat S into delta theta. Okay, so what is that you are doing? You are taking a substance of mass m, you are giving some heat energy. So after giving heat energy, experimentally it is observed that your heat energy is directly proportional to mass under these conditions. It is directly proportional to temperature difference under these conditions, and your heat energy finally it is mass m into specific heat S into delta theta. Okay, now many people will directly give you this as the formula. Okay, but I have put it in a logical manner, that's all. Okay, this is a experimental observation, that's all. Now from here, okay, this is your heat energy definition. Okay, this delta Q is heat, m is mass, S is specific heat, delta theta is temperature difference. Now if you take the units part, okay, if you take the, okay, units part, okay, for each term, delta Q is calorie or joules. Okay, mass will be grams or kg depending upon SI or CGS unit, and specific heat, okay, which we will derive now, okay, and delta theta is, okay, it is degree centigrade or Kelvin, whether it is CGS or SI unit, your temperature difference is going to be degree centigrade or Kelvin. But in entire thermodynamics, mostly it is a good practice, unless otherwise mentioned, except in this chapter, go for Kelvin always, okay, wherever temperature is there, okay, go for Kelvin. Now one thing that I want you to remember is 1 degree centigrade temperature difference is same as 1 Kelvin temperature difference, okay. Your temperature difference is same in both the scales, okay. So here in this delta theta, it doesn't matter whether we are keeping degree centigrade or Kelvin, okay, because both are ultimately going to give you the same results, okay. So don't worry too much about what is the final unit for temperature, okay, because it is same, temperature difference is same in both the scales, you don't need to worry, okay. Your delta C is equal to delta K, okay, that anyhow we have seen in thermal expansion. Now once you get to know this, from this expression, okay, your specific heat capacity, okay, can be defined logically like this, okay. In the books this definition will be given, that is, okay, if you have, okay, a material whose mass is 1 gram, if you are defining in terms of CGS unit, okay, I have taken mass in grams, if you want in SI unit, take kg, no issues. So your definition is delta Q is equal to m into S into delta theta. Now if you take 1 gram substance and if you change the temperature from 13.5 degrees centigrade to 14.5 degrees centigrade, okay, your delta theta is equal to 1, okay. So your specific heat can be written as, the definition will be like this, okay. So if mass is 1 grams and delta theta is 1, this part if it is 1 and this part if it is 1, delta Q is going to be equal to, mathematically it is S, okay, right. So I'll write it here. If, okay, if mass is equal to 1 grams, delta theta, that is temperature, is equal to 1, okay, then your specific heat, okay, your specific heat is going to be delta Q will be equal to 1 into S into 1. So delta Q is equal to S, okay. So from this I can say what is your specific heat means, okay, your specific heat is, okay, specific heat capacity is, okay, amount of heat required to raise temperature of 1 gram of substance by 1 degree centigrade, okay. So amount of heat, okay, this definition you will see in books, okay, amount of heat required to rise temperature by 1 degrees centigrade, okay, okay, amount of heat required to raise temperature by 1 degree centigrade for 1 gram body, okay, right. So this is your specific heat capacity definition, okay. This definition you will see it in the books, okay, but this is your basic definition, okay. Now copy this thing. Now what is that I am going to do is, okay, because now we have defined specific heat capacity, okay, we will describe it more in detail, okay. Now I am going to, okay, elongate this further, okay. Now your specific heat capacity from this part, okay, it can be written as, okay, your specific heat capacity can be written as S is equal to delta Q by m into delta theta, okay. This is your temperature difference, delta Q by m into delta theta, okay. Now from this definition, okay, your SI and CGS units we will discuss. Okay, now from here what is the SI unit anante? Okay, from here what is your SI unit is, your SI unit is, your delta Q is how much it is? Okay, unit is, okay, it's in SI unit it is joules, so it is joules per kg, okay, degrees centigrade, or you can write it as calorie per, okay, gram degrees centigrade. Okay, that is going to be your SI unit. Now if you talk of CGS unit, okay, if you talk of CGS unit, now your CGS unit is, okay, your CGS unit is calorie per gram degrees centigrade, okay, in CGS unit. Okay, so I have written it in wrong manner. Okay, sorry, I should have written here, okay, joule per kg Kelvin. Okay, right, I just sorry, I just got carried away by phone call. So CGS unit is calorie per gram degrees centigrade, or you can write it as calorie per gram Kelvin. Okay, now this is going to be your specific heat. Okay, now we, while solving problems, we need to remember some standard results. Okay, those standard results are, your specific heat of water is 1 calorie per gram degrees centigrade. Okay, and your specific heat of ice or steam, unless otherwise mentioned, you just simply take specific heat of steam as half calorie per gram degrees centigrade. Okay, in SI units what is to be done I will explain. Okay, so for that we will try to do a small problem. Okay, now, okay, 1 calorie per gram degrees centigrade is equal to, okay, you can take it as a small application. Okay, 1 calorie per gram degree centigrade is equal to how much if you ask me? Okay, that part is how much in SI units means, okay, in the numerator you will have joules, in the denominator you will have kg, and you will have degree centigrade or Kelvin, it doesn't matter. Now how will you solve it? Okay, so 1 calorie per gram degree centigrade, okay, is equal to 1 calorie is how much? 4.2 joules, by 1 gram is how much? 10 power minus 3 kg degrees centigrade, so you will get 4200 joule per kg degrees centigrade. Okay, so this is your, okay, unit. So another result, okay, that you are supposed to remember is 1 calorie per gram degree centigrade is equal to 4200 joule per kg degrees centigrade. Okay, so I want you to remember these three results. Okay, remember these results. Okay, you can stop the video now and you can try to remember these results. Okay, right. Okay, now we'll continue. So now we have seen what is specific heat capacity. Okay, so now, okay, your specific heat capacity, okay, as I have explained in my differentiation and integration video, okay, I have told you very clearly that anything that you measure, okay, anything that you are going to measure is two things. One is either average or either it is instantaneous. Okay, now because specific heat, okay, depends on temperature. Okay, so your specific heat, it depends on temperature as well. Okay, because S depends on temperature. Okay, because specific heat depends on temperature. Okay, I can define two ways of my specific heat. Average specific heat is given by delta Q is equal to m into delta theta. Okay, this relation, okay, you are going to use, okay, this relation you are going to use when specific heat is constant. It's not changing with respect to temperature. You are going to use it. Now when, okay, usually it will be in terms of tens of degrees centigrade, okay. That means, for example, previously I have given water. For water I have given specific heat of water as 1 calorie per gram degree centigrade. So that value is valid around from 10 to some 90 degrees centigrade or 100 degrees centigrade. That's all. 0 to 100, and we will entirely take 1. But if you go beyond 100 or 200, such kind of bigger values, this term will not be constant. So in such a case, when you have variable terms, okay, what is that you are going to do is, okay, when there are variable terms, you have to use this definition. That is, your instantaneous specific heat definition is given by dq by m into d theta, okay. Your specific heat, if it is, okay, known as a function of temperature, you have to use this definition. So from here, if you want heat energy, okay, your dq is equal to m into specific heat as a function of temperature theta into d theta, okay. If you integrate on both sides, integral of dq is your total heat energy delta q, that is equal to integral of m into specific heat as function of temperature theta into d theta from theta equal to theta 1 to theta equal to theta 2, okay. So your absolute heat energy delta q is given by, okay, integral of m into specific heat as a function of temperature into d theta from theta equal to theta 1 to theta equal to theta 2, like this. Now this definition, when it is to be used, that definition when it is to be used means when S is function of temperature, okay. When specific heat is function of temperature, you have to use this formula, okay. And when specific heat is function of, I mean constant, it's not changing with respect to temperature, you have to use this result, okay. So these two, from this, okay, you must have got some clarity of what is meant by specific heat capacity, okay. Now okay, we will try to do some simple questions, okay. So those who want to copy, you can copy it, okay. Now I will give simple questions, okay. Calculate heat required, okay. I will give the question like this: calculate, okay, heat required, okay, to convert, okay. First question is, okay, 5 grams, okay, A part of the question, 5 grams of ice at minus 20 degrees centigrade to, okay, let us say it is some minus 10 degrees centigrade. That is your first part of the question. Your second part of the question is calculate amount of heat required to convert 18 grams of water from 10 degrees centigrade to 30 degrees centigrade, okay. So now if nothing is mentioned, I have clearly told you always take specific heat to be constant. So in doing so, if you stick to the basics, okay, your answer will be like this: delta q is equal to m into s into delta theta. So your mass m is 5, okay, it is in grams, so unit is very important, times specific heat of ice, okay, I have told you it is half calorie per gram times your temperature difference between minus 20 and minus 10, the temperature difference is 10, so gram will go off, so you will get 50 by 2 calories, that is equal to 25 calories. So that means you require 25 calories to convert 5 grams of ice at minus 20 degrees centigrade to 5 grams of ice at minus 10 degrees centigrade. Okay, your mass is anyhow not going to change if the state is changing. Okay, mass remains constant. Okay, mass is intrinsic property of the body. Next, now here in this situation, if you are taking heat energy, your heat energy here delta Q is given by m into specific heat S into delta theta. Now here it is specific heat of water. Okay, here it is specific heat of ice. Okay, because ice is given, here water is given. So your mass is 18 into your specific heat of water. Okay, how much is your specific heat of water means it is 1 calorie per gram. Okay, mass is anyhow given in grams into temperature difference is 30 minus 10, that is equal to 20. So you are going to get 18 into 20 calories. So you are going to get 360 calories. That means you require approximately 360 calories to convert 18 grams of water from 10 degrees centigrade to 30 degrees centigrade. Okay, so this is your basic idea. Okay, so what is the use of specific heat capacity means? Okay, it is helpful in calculating the heat energy. How much heat energy you need to give to bring a temperature change of how much, it all helps in that part. Okay, right? So this is your basic specific heat capacity. Now, okay, what is that I am going to do is I am going to add extra points. Okay, so some extra points about specific heat capacity, we will see it. If you want to copy, you can copy it. Okay, now next is specific heat capacity. Extra points related to specific heat capacity. Okay, so your specific heat capacity okay, now we will try to calculate specific heat capacity. Okay, extra points. Okay, now some extra points. Okay, in that first point is, okay, your specific heat depends on temperature is what I have given. Okay, now as an example, okay, if I try to calculate, for example, your specific heat as a function of temperature is given as some A plus Bt, okay, where A comma B are constants. Now if I ask you, okay, for example, a question like this, okay, right, calculate, okay, heat required by m grams of substance to bring temperature change from T1 to T2. Now what is that you are going to do with this? Okay, you just try it. I will give you a minute time. Now stick to the basics. Okay, it's not going to be a big challenging part. Okay, so how much is your heat energy required means, I have told you your heat energy when there is variable specific heat, what is that you are going to do? Your heat energy delta Q is integral of m into specific heat as a function of temperature into dt from T1 to T2. So that is going to give you m times A plus Bt into dt from T1 to T2. Okay, now you simplify the integral, so that will give you m times, okay, At plus Bt square by 2, lower limit T1, upper limit T2. Okay, so your integral is, okay, if you don't know this integration, refer to my integration video. So A plus Bt is At plus Bt square by 2. So finally you are going to get, okay, m times, okay, At2 plus Bt2 square by 2 minus At1 plus Bt1 square by 2. This is what you are going to get for total heat energy. Okay, now unless otherwise mentioned within the syllabus portion of IIT JEE, I want you to assume, okay, this part, this specific heat as a function of temperature is constant. Okay, if it is given as variable function, then you have to do it like this. Okay, next, second point is, okay, now your specific heat definition we are giving as S equal to delta Q by M into delta theta. Now, okay, if process is isothermal, okay, so if process is isothermal, okay, and if process is adiabatic, okay, what is the difference between these two means? Okay, isothermal means temperature is constant, your delta T will be 0. Adiabatic means no heat will flow into the system, your delta Q is, okay, 0. So for isothermal process, your specific heat of isothermal process is, okay, delta Q by 0, so that is going to be infinity. And for adiabatic process, okay, it is delta, 0 by, okay, some value, so that will anyhow going to give you 0. Okay, so with this your specific heat is done. Okay, now copy it. Okay, copy the content on the screen. Next we will continue further. Next is we are going to see, okay, next, okay, we are going to see heat capacity of substance. Okay, we have seen what is specific heat capacity. Okay, now we will see heat capacity. Okay, now we will see heat capacity. So now your specific heat, okay, I forgot to add a point, okay, but we'll cover it. Okay, now your heat capacity of substance, why did I do it? I will tell you. Okay, it is represented by symbol C. Okay, in the bracket I will write molar heat capacity. If moles are given, you have to go with molar heat capacity. So now, like how you define average and instantaneous there, here also your average molar heat capacity is given by delta Q by N into delta theta, temperature difference, and your instantaneous value C instantaneous is dQ by N into d theta. Okay, so from here your definition of heat capacity is going to be, okay, your heat energy, okay, if this part is 1, okay, and this part is 1, okay, what is your heat capacity is, okay, the amount of heat energy required to bring 1 degree centigrade temperature change for 1 mole. Okay, so for 1 mole of substance, if you are bringing 1 degree temperature change, how much heat energy is required? That is only going to be your heat capacity. Okay, so for this unit is, okay, it is going to be joule per mole degree centigrade or joule per mole, okay, Kelvin in SI units. In CGS it is going to be calorie per mole. This is your SI unit. Okay, in CGS unit it is calorie per mole, okay, degree centigrade or, okay, calorie per mole Kelvin. Okay, so that is going to be your CGS unit. Okay, next, here coming to this part, okay, if you same definition, if you want heat energy here, delta Q is N into C into delta theta. Okay, remember that result. And here if you want the result, okay, dQ is N into C as a function of temperature theta into d theta. Okay, integral of dQ is your delta Q, that is equal to integral of from some temperature theta equal to theta 1 to theta 2 n into C of theta into d theta. Okay, so this is your heat energy. So if you have as a function of temperature, so it is going to be n into C of theta into d theta from theta equal to theta 1 to theta equal to theta 2. Okay, so this is your heat energy definition when you have heat capacity varying as a function of temperature, and this is your definition, okay, when your heat capacity is constant. Okay, right? Now come on, take the screenshot, copy it. Okay, if nothing is mentioned, consider 1 mole. Okay, while doing problems, okay, for problem's sake, if nothing is mentioned, consider 1 mole. Okay, okay, if number of moles are given, use it. If it is not given, just simply take n equal to 1. Okay, now next I am going to erase it. Now, so we have defined specific heat capacity and now we have defined heat capacity. Now, okay, I want you to keep an important note in mind, that is, okay, if you take two substances, let us say this is copper, 5 grams, let us say it is copper, let us say it is 10 grams, it is also copper. Now, what is the difference between specific heat capacity and heat capacity is, okay, here S is same, specific heat capacity is same, okay, it is property of material, okay, here it is copper, here also it is copper, so that is why your S is same, okay, and I have written heat capacity of substance. So this substance is of 5 grams, this substance is of 10 grams. So obviously C will be different, okay. C is different, but specific heat capacity S will be same in, okay, in this scenario, okay. Now what is the relation, okay, relation between C and S means, okay, your relation between C and S is, okay, your C is equal to M into S, okay. Now how did you get it? Your delta Q is MS delta theta, which is also equal to N into C into delta theta. Delta theta cancels off. If you assume N equal to 1, you are going to get C equal to M into S, okay. So this is your relation between specific heat capacity and heat capacity, okay, right. So you can utilize these results while solving problems, okay. Now next I am going to discuss, okay, water equivalent and all, we will see it in next class, okay. So till here it is enough in this class for today, okay. So okay, right, now we will continue, okay. Next is water equivalent, okay, and this is the area where often many children will get confused and many people will they will explain different things and they will try to give very big explanations and logics. Now I will not do, okay, so my subject is limited, so within IIT JEE scope, what is meant by water equivalent, I will try to put it in my terms, okay. So just understand, okay, there is no point in showing off big definitions, okay. Your water equivalent word, okay, what will it indicate? okay, and how it is helpful I will tell you. So water equivalent of a container, for example, or any substance, okay, you take it, no issues. Okay, what is meant by water equivalent? Okay, now observe very carefully. Let us say you have a container like this. Okay, now what is that you are going to do is you are going to pour some water. You have two things here, okay, a container and water. Now let us say you are heating it. Okay, now let us say mass of container is mc, specific heat of container is sc. Okay, mass of container is mc, specific heat of container is sc. Next, your mass of water is m water, specific heat of water is s water. Okay, now let us say initially both are at same temperature and you are bringing some delta theta temperature difference, okay, from this system. Now when you heat this body, okay, when you heat this body, both will absorb heat. Okay, I mean both container will take heat as well as water will take heat. Now, okay, if you ask me what is the total heat energy given by that flame is delta Q is equal to mass of container into specific heat of container into delta theta. This is for container. Okay, plus water will also take heat, so mass of water into specific heat of water into delta theta. This is for water. Okay, now observe very carefully. Your system is same, you are giving or bringing out same temperature difference. Now if this system, for this system, if you are bringing some temperature difference of delta theta, both are undergoing same temperature difference. Now let us say you are doing some principle of calorimeter experiment or some big experiments, you are doing it. Now when you are doing big experiments, obviously what happens is every time you have to consider mass of container into specific heat of container. Now if you know specific heat of container, then you can substitute it, it will not be a problem. But let us say, okay, as you keep using the materials in labs, your specific heat means that alloy, because of rust or something, it could change. Okay, so that is one possibility. But if you neglect that, your specific heat of container, if it is not known to you, okay, if you don't know what is specific heat of container, then you have to do principle of calorimetry experiment, then you have to calculate specific heat of container, and then you have to substitute in the calculation. Okay, now every time it is not possible for you to calculate specific heat of container separately. Instead, if heat energy calculation is given like this, okay, you have got mass of container into specific heat of container plus mass of water into specific heat of water into delta theta. Now observe very carefully. This term that I have here, okay, this I will replace it with a term, okay, that is your water equivalent times specific heat of water plus mass of water into specific heat of water into delta theta. Okay, observe very carefully, slowly. I am replacing this mass of container with, I am replacing it with what? I am replacing it with water equivalent. So water equivalent is nothing but, okay, this term m into s is what? Heat capacity. So your water equivalent into SW must be equal to, okay, this term that you have, okay, must be equal to, okay, this term that you have must be equal to, okay, this term. So your water equivalent is nothing but, okay, equal amount of water or how much heat capacity, okay, for that material, okay, same amount of water will have same amount of, okay, heat capacity, okay. So nothing, it is nothing but, okay, not much a big deal, okay, follow carefully. How much amount of heat capacity that container is having, your water equivalent amount, okay, of water will also have same heat capacity. Your M into S is nothing but heat capacity, okay. So basically for calculation convenience, this MC into SC is just being replaced with water equivalent into specific heat of water. So while doing experiment, okay, it's not going to be a tough job. Directly it is that much equivalent amount of water. So you directly know the standard value of specific heat of water. Your specific heat of water is nothing but 1 calorie per gram degree centigrade. So just simply substitute it, your job is done. Okay. So this is your, okay, water equivalent. So I will define it, okay. So MC into SC is water equivalent into specific heat of water, okay. This is your heat capacity of container. So from here, water equivalent is equivalent amount of water, equivalent amount of water having same heat capacity, having same heat capacity, okay. That's all, nothing else, okay. So whenever you see this mass of container, if water equivalent is known, directly substitute it, okay. So your problem becomes easy, okay. So we'll try to, okay, do it with the help of, okay, problem, okay. Now I will explain a small application, just basic example to help you to understand the water equivalent idea, okay. So now your water equivalent, okay, based on this we will see a question. So a question is like this. A calorimeter of water equivalent 50 grams, okay, at 20 degrees centigrade is, okay, mixed with, okay, it is mixed with, okay, 20 grams of water at 20 degrees centigrade. Your question is find, okay, your question is find, okay, heat energy required, find heat energy required, okay, to, okay, increase temperature to 50 degrees centigrade, okay. Now if that is the case, okay, so your answer is delta Q is equal to, actually you have to write, okay, you can use calorimeter or container, it doesn't matter, okay. So no issues, calorimeter or container. So it is actually mass of container into specific heat of container plus mass of water into specific heat of water into delta theta, because you are bringing out same temperature difference, but not required. Directly it is this part, okay, as I have discussed, you are replacing it with water. So this will become water equivalent times specific heat of water, okay, plus mass of water into specific heat of water into delta theta. So cut short, this is going to become water equivalent plus mass of water that you have times specific heat of water into delta theta. Now your water equivalent is given as 50 grams. So this is going to become 50 plus your water, it is how much, means your water is 20 grams. So it is 20 okay, grams into specific heat of water is 1 calorie per gram degree centigrade times your temperature difference is 50 minus 20, it is 30. So you are going to get approximately 210 calories. Okay, so I have written this step only to explain, but you are directly, you can, okay, those who have understood, you can directly go for this step. Okay, your water equivalent is nothing but that much amount of water you have, okay, and you don't need to substitute specific heat of capacity, because without knowing specific heat of capacity of that container, you will not obviously be able to solve this problem. Okay, so this is how you are going to do the, okay, water equivalent. Okay, now let us continue further. Okay, next, your next idea is, okay, your next idea is latent heat of, your next idea is your latent heat of transformation. Okay, so what is this latent heat of transformation, you are supposed to know. Okay, now, okay, let us say you have a solid. Now this solid, let us say you are converting this into liquid. Okay, and this liquid you are converting it into gas. Now what happens is, okay, in childhood you must have studied, okay, in solids atoms and molecules are closely packed to each other, in liquids slightly far away, in gases much more far. Okay, now in solids, liquids, gases, okay, if you are giving heat energy, okay, this process of conversion of solid to liquid is, this process is nothing but melting. Okay, ice melts into water and this process is your vaporization. Okay, now if you look into this, okay, your bonds are breaking. Okay, now for example, if you have ice at 0 degrees centigrade and water at 0 degrees centigrade, okay, and if you are looking at okay, water at 100 to steam at 100, okay, water at 100 degrees centigrade to steam at 100, okay, in all these processes, okay, there is no temperature change. From ice at 0 to water at 0, no temperature change. Okay, what is changing is state is changing. Here the state is changing from solid to liquid. That means indirectly what is happening is bonds are being broken down. Your bonds are breaking from solid to liquid and your bonds are breaking from liquid to gas in case of water at 100. Here no temperature change, but there is state change. Okay, this process is actually your transformation. Okay, so amount of energy that you require to convert from solid to liquid and some amount of energy is required, okay, for you to convert from liquid to gas. Okay, so this process, okay, this process of conversion is only your transformation. Okay, so my point is, if you have a solid, if you convert it into liquid, okay, you require heat energy. Okay, that is nothing but your latent heat of transformation. Okay, so I'll keep that as heading. Okay, so and then I'll explain. So here latent heat of fusion, I'll write, okay, subscript L, subscript F. Next is latent heat of vaporization, okay, LV. So what is the difference between these two? Okay, now let us say you have a solid and let us say you have liquid. Okay, so to break the bonds you require heat energy. This heat energy is delta Q is equal to mass times latent heat of fusion. If you have liquid, to convert this into gas you require heat energy. That heat energy is delta Q is equal to mass times latent heat of vaporization. Okay, now from here your LF is given by delta Q by M. Your LV latent heat of vaporization is given by delta Q by M. Okay, so if mass is 1 grams, LF is delta Q. If mass is 1 grams, LV is delta Q. So my definition is like this. Okay, heat required to convert 1 gram of substance from solid state to liquid state. Okay, and here it is heat required to convert 1 gram of substance, okay, from 1 gram of substance from liquid to gas. Okay, this is your explanation. Now for ice water combination, okay, your latent heat of fusion is, for ice water combination, very important, your latent heat of fusion is 80 calorie per gram. Okay, you must remember this result. Okay, and your latent heat of vaporization for water steam configuration is, latent heat of vaporization is 540 calorie per gram. Okay, so this is what is your latent heat of transformation. Okay, and your units, okay, if you look at this, unit is calories here per gram, calorie per gram, here also it is calorie per gram. SI units joule per kg. Okay, now we will try to do simple question. Okay, come on, take the screenshot. Okay, so I will give you 2 simple questions. Okay, do it. So you have 15 grams of ice at 0 degrees centigrade. You are converting it into 15 grams of water at 0 degrees centigrade. Okay, calculate heat required. That is your question. Your second question is, you have 30 grams of water at 100 degrees centigrade. You are supposed to convert this into 30 grams of steam at 100 degrees centigrade. How much is the heat required? Calculate delta Q required. Okay, so simple. Okay, if you remember from the previous slide, your formula is delta Q is equal to mass times latent heat of fusion. So your mass, it is how much, means it is 15 grams times latent heat of fusion is 80 calorie per gram. Okay, gram will go off, 15 8s are almost 120, so 1200 calories is the energy required. And here how much it is, means your delta Q is equal to mass times latent heat of vaporization. So your mass is 30 times latent heat of vaporization is 540 calorie per gram. Okay, units very important. Okay, gram will go off. So 0, 0, 3 4s are 12, 1, 15 plus 1, 16,200 calories. Okay, so like this you will be able to calculate heat energy required when, okay, your body's state is changing from one place to other place. Okay, right now with this your basic introduction is done. Okay, now based on this, okay, one more example we will see. Okay, and then we will stop this lecture for today. So next example is, okay, let us say you are given, okay, 15 grams of ice, 15 grams of ice at, okay, let us say it is at minus 20 degrees centigrade. Okay, and you are supposed to convert this to steam at 120 degrees centigrade. Okay, calculate heat required. That is your question. Okay, now in later part of this chapter, what is that I am going to do is, we will be mixing ice plus water. Then ice plus water can give you ice, water, everything. Anything is possible depending upon how much quantity and what temperatures are there. Now, okay, whatever approach I am doing, you just follow it as such. So here your 15 grams of ice at minus 20 degrees centigrade that you have, okay, will first be coming to 15 grams at 0 degrees centigrade. This side you still have ice. Okay, now to do so, okay, it will not directly come to steam. First it gets converted from ice at minus 20 to 0. Then at 0, once again it comes to water. It becomes water at 0 degrees centigrade. Okay, mass is not going to change. Then it will come to water at 100 degrees centigrade. Then followed by steam at 100. Then followed by steam at 120. Okay, so it undergoes, okay, from ice to water, water to steam. Totally it undergoes different stages like this when it is, okay, transforming. So now how much heat energy is required for conversion here means, your heat energy, first heat energy H1 is equal to mass into specific heat of ice into temperature difference delta theta. So that is equal to mass 15 times 15 grams times specific heat of ice. I have explained it is half calorie per gram degree centigrade times your temperature difference is from minus 20 to 0, final minus initial, 0 minus of minus 20. Okay, do not keep minus sign. Okay, so ms delta theta, final minus initial, that will give you 20. So 15 into 20 by 2, that is equal to 150 calories. This is your heat energy required by ice to come to 0. Next, in the second stage, okay, if I calculate heat H2, now here there is no temperature change, but there is state change. So your state change is mass times latent heat of fusion, that is equal to 15 into 80 calories. Okay, 15 grams into 80 calories. Next, from here to here, your heat required H3 is mass times specific heat of water into delta theta. So your mass is 15 into specific heat of water is 1 into temperature difference is 100, because between 0 and 100 temperature difference is 100. So you will have around 1500 calories. Okay, next, here also there is state change. So it is H4 is equal to mass times latent heat of vaporization. So it is 15 into latent heat of vaporization, we know that it is 540. So 15 zeros are 0, 15 fours are 66, 15 fives are 75 plus 6, 81, around 81 calories, 8100 calories. Okay, next, from steam at 100 to steam at 120, your H4 is equal to mass m into specific heat of steam into delta theta. So that is 15 into specific heat of steam is half into your temperature difference is 20, so once again you will get 150 calories. So your total heat required in this case is, okay, your total heat required is, okay, delta Q total is, okay, H1 plus, H2 plus, H3 plus, H4 plus, okay, H5, okay, sorry, this is H5. So this is your total heat energy required. So it is a scalar quantity, you can just add all the numbers like this, okay. So this is your basic introduction, okay. So now end of this lecture, from what I explained from the starting, okay, I will write down the summary, okay, because writing summary is the most important point, okay, because even if you look into the book, everything will be there, okay, but still many people struggle. So what are the things that you are supposed to remember right from the start? I am writing here, okay, what is the summary? So your summary is this, okay. So before you enter into the next lecture, okay, what all things that you are supposed to know, I am writing it here, okay, that is, first, 1 calorie is 4.2 joules, first and foremost important relation. Next, second, your work done is equal to J times H. This J is your mechanical equivalent, H is your heat energy, okay, heat means heat energy. Next, third, your specific heat capacity, okay, your definition of delta Q is M into S into delta theta, but okay, this definition is when specific heat is constant, when S is function of temperature, okay, when its specific heat varies as a function of temperature, what is that you are going to do is, your heat energy delta Q is integral of M into specific heat as a function of temperature into dt from T1 to T2 like this. And next thing is, okay, your next thing is your heat capacity delta Q is equal to NC times, okay, NC delta theta, okay, when C is constant, when C varies, C is function of temperature, your heat definition is delta Q is equal to integral of N times C as a function of temperature into dt from T1 to T2, okay. Next, 1 calorie per gram degrees centigrade is equal to 4200 joule per kg degrees centigrade. Your specific heat of water is 1 calorie per gram degrees centigrade, and your specific heat of ice and steam, it is half calorie per gram, okay. And next, when there is state change, delta Q is equal to M times L. This is when there is state change from solid to liquid and all, okay, and then liquid to gas. Here latent heat of fusion is 80 calorie per gram. Latent heat of vaporization for ice water combination is 540 calorie per gram, okay. So right from the start you are supposed to remember all these results, okay. So using these results, okay, we are going to, okay, solve, okay, all the questions, okay. So this is just a quick course, okay. In the institute I will discuss anyhow, later at my place everything in detail, okay, but minimum basic things. If you have missed a class from previous because of your own personal reasons, what all the things that you are needed for the next class, if you watch this video, that will help you out, okay. So any doubts still you can follow and ask me, okay. So with this we will stop today's class, okay. Thank you.